Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really intense, deeply personal topic. We're getting into the exact mechanics of how people totally transform. I mean, how do you go from being totally counted out and written off to becoming, well, practically unstoppable? If you've ever felt like the odds were just completely stacked against you, you are in exactly the right place. Okay, let's dive into this. This idea is the visceral realization of a teenager we came across in our research. Picture this, a kid who found himself completely surrounded by people who looked at him and just saw a no good, no future, undisciplined failure. Society looked at his clothes, his background, his stats, and basically dumped him in the absolute lowest percentile of expectations. He was labeled an automatic failure. But rather than letting those burning glares destroy his self-confidence, he decided to fight back. He realized, hey, my path isn't just a percentage on some graph. He fully adopted the ultimate underdog mindset. He determined that the absolute best revenge against all those insanely low expectations was simply his own undeniable success. All right, Section 1, the science of the underdog. So this isn't just some fluffy, inspiring mindset stuff. Let's look at the actual academic and psychological research from the Academy of Management Journal. It shows us exactly why being an underdog sometimes totally crushes us, and other times, it propels us to greatness. Notice the difference here. If you really believe the person doubting you is highly credible, you might fall victim to what's called the golem effect. It's basically a self-fulfilling prophecy where those low expectations actually cause your performance to tank. But, and here's the kicker, if you perceive that observer as not credible, their doubt triggers the underdog effect. Suddenly, their lack of credibility fuels this burning desire inside you to just prove them wrong. It actually boosts your performance. The doubt literally becomes your competitive advantage. How cool is that? Moving on to Section 2, architecting an unbreakable mind. So how do we actually take that underdog effect and flip those odds in our favor? Well, take a look at that number, 297. That is exactly how many pounds David Goggins weighed in his early 20s. He was pulling in less than $1,000 a month spraying for cockroaches. Add to that asthma, a learning disability, a stutter, and just crushingly low self-esteem after surviving a childhood filled with extreme poverty and horrific abuse. Let me just break the fourth wall for a second and ask you directly. Have you ever felt exactly this stuck? Like your true potential is just buried under a massive mountain of your current reality? Goggins was at absolute rock bottom. One night, he's sitting in front of the TV with a massive milkshake, and he randomly stumbles upon a Discovery Channel documentary about Navy SEALs going through Hell Week. He's watching these guys freeze and suffer in the water, and right then and there, he decided to completely rewrite his identity. He realized that living a soft, comfortable life meant he was going to die without ever seeing what he was truly capable of. So he made a choice. He chose to plunge himself into complete and utter discomfort. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that these aren't just your standard cheesy motivational concepts. This is Goggins' actual tactical psychological arsenal for bypassing the brain's built-in governor. First up, the accountability mirror. He literally stuck Post-it notes on his mirror, forcing himself to stare his insecurities right in the face every single day. I mean, you can't lie to your own reflection, right? Second, the 40% rule. When your brain is screaming at you that you're totally exhausted and you just need to quit, you're actually only at 40% of your max capacity. Your brain acts like a speed governor on a car. It stops you early just to keep you safe. You have to push past it. And third, the cookie jar. When the suffering gets really intense, you mentally reach into your cookie jar and pull out memories of past challenges you've already crushed. It reminds you, hey, I survived that. I will absolutely survive this too. Section 3, the monk mode protocol. Now, pulling off that kind of extreme mental framework, that requires an environment that actually supports it. Think about modern society for a second. The average person is just pushed around like a rag doll by endless digital stimuli, social media status games, and empty entertainment. We have more opportunity than ever before, yet we somehow lack the lucidity to actually grasp it. Enter monk mode. This is a period of intense discipline where you deliberately design systems and constraints to just cut out all the noise. You temporarily isolate yourself from those distractions so you can actually dive into deep work and gain absolute clarity. It essentially stops the world from using you and lets you start using your world. It's a total game changer. All right, Section 4, fueling the physical machine. Once you've got the mind focused and the environment locked down, you've got to look at the biological vessel. How do we physically fuel this new underdog machine? Well, it starts with extreme physical activity. And the research here is completely undeniable. Exercise is one of the most powerful biological tools we have for our mental health. It triggers a massive release of endorphins, your body's natural feel-good chemicals. It drastically drops cortisol, which is that pesky stress hormone responsible for weight gain and brain fog. But arguably the most impressive part, it promotes neurogenesis in the hippocampus. It is literally building new brain cells to level up your memory and learning. It even regulates your circadian rhythm so you can finally get some real restorative sleep.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what happens when you combine that movement with relentless hydration, specifically chugging a gallon of water every single day. Based on the physiological data, let's track this 90-day metamorphosis. Day 1, you feel like a walking water balloon, just running to the bathroom constantly. But stick with it, because by day 7, your kidneys adapt and start filtering like high-performance machines. By day 14, that horrible afternoon energy crash, completely gone, because your cells are fully hydrated and the brain fog just clears out. Jump to day 30, and since your cartilage is 80% water, your joints suddenly feel incredibly smooth and painless. Day 60, your metabolism is burning at a rapid pace, and your skin is literally glowing. And by day 90, your internal organs are operating at absolute peak capacity. Biologically speaking, you look and feel years younger. It's an incredible physical story of total renewal.
Finally, Section 5, From Theory to Action. So we've covered the science, the mindset, the environment, and the biology. But listen, none of it matters if we fail at this final, completely crucial step. We pulled a fascinating reality check from a massive productivity thread on Reddit. People were in there asking for life-changing books, gearing up to go on these huge self-improvement binges. But then one user hit the crowd with this stark, brutal question. Are you actually improving, or are you just procrastinating? Let's move on and see how this builds, because this is the ultimate trap for us focused learners. The community nailed it when they pointed out that obsessively reading books like Atomic Habits, nodding along, saying, wow, I'm absolutely going to do all of that, and then immediately grabbing the next book without implementing a single system, that's a giant waste of time. It is literally just procrastination dressed up as productivity. Your theoretical knowledge completely caps your true potential, unless your actual metrics, we're talking your bank account, the scale, your real-world accolades, are actually changing. So the crucial point is perfectly summarized by another user in that thread, who invoked the words of the ancient Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. Look, you can spend your entire life hoarding theoretical knowledge, trying to endlessly figure out the absolute optimal routine. But at some point, you have to stop the excuses, stop the endless consumption, and just be consistent. Actually be the person you are reading about. Which leaves us right here. You now totally understand the underdog effect, you know the 40% rule, you know how to clear the noise with monk mode, and exactly how to biologically fuel your machine. You have the blueprint in your hands. So, to channel David Goggins one last time, nobody cares what you did yesterday. If you genuinely want to callous your mind and trigger true, undeniable growth, you have to choose the path of most resistance. So what will you do today that sucks? Stop consuming, get uncomfortable, and go take action.